Neena Perez, and this is Straight Talk, no sugar added. Thank you so much for being here. You know, this show is here to challenge and transform your thinking. I try to find like the best humans on the planet to come on here and discuss real life topics. So today I have Kimberly Ann Bell, and she is a passionate speaker and author at the Epitome of Kimmy. Accept and embrace it all. She is an advocate for mental health awareness, and through her work, she uses her personal life struggles to inspire others to never give up hope, and she provides insight into the realities that lay hidden beneath the surface of our society. So I am super excited to have her here. We've just been talking for a few minutes. I'm already falling in love. So I'm glad that she's here. Kimberly, welcome to Straight Talk. How are you?
Thank you, Miss Neena. I'm great. How are you?
I am great.
It's a pleasure and an honor. I'm so happy to be here with you to conversate.
I am too. We have to get
like
into
we already know each other.
I know.
I want to go and give you like a high five.
Exactly. That's so awesome. I wanted to talk to you, but before we get into like the nitty gritty of your book and everything you're doing to inspire people, I just want a little bit more about Kimberly. So tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I am a mother of 5.
Awesome.
And I have a little one. I started all over again at 42. I just turned 48. So I'm like, woohoo! I never felt greater. Like I don't, my kids don't know what to do with me when I turn 50. I told them just get ready because that's what I'm just going to go out of my mind. But the 40s have been really great. I've just turned 48, and my world that just I believe she's carrying me or I'm carrying her. She'll be 6. That's the last of the heartbeat.
Right.
So I have the 4 adult children and 3 grown adults. The oldest one is 32, and I have 1 son, which is great. He moved back home after he found out he was having a baby. So he's been with me and my dad for about a year and a half, but he is just like the best son ever. I told him it was no comparison because I don't have another son. So he has to step up. So
that's awesome.
Yes, I work for the state. I've been doing case management for probably over 10 years. I just love the career that I fell into as far as helping people navigate sources, helping people advocate for them to get the type of budget they need, to get the resources that they need. And I just fell into the love of helping them stay in the community if that's what they choose. Now, some may, because of situations and family dynamics, have to stay in a nursing home. And if that's what they choose, to give them the best services while they're in there. So right. I love what I do. And I'll probably be retiring from that. I told him, I said, I'm getting ready to. It's coming. I feel the retirement. And
you're only 48. What are you talking about?
I want an entrepreneur. I want my.
Yes, right. Yes.
But I have invested, my career into. Really, God has really blessed me into being a case manager, a support planner, assisting people. So I have been really, really blessed. And that's what I'm doing right now. Yeah. So I love traveling. I love seafood. I'm on the Eastern Shore. So I think my taste buds has kind of changed. But I could eat fish every day. I could eat, and that's healthy for you. But I have a little mini that she loves fruits and vegetables. I told her, as she gets older, we're just going to keep flipping age because I think she's going on 60. I'm getting behind.
That's amazing.
But
great.
We love traveling. We love doing, every day I wake up trying to understand and know me and get the best potential that I can have of myself. And, have that investment, yearning for the self-care. Sometimes I have to just push my computer back, go and do my walk, do things. I'm loving now that I'm challenging myself to do things differently and stick to those things, especially in the dating world and relationship, and who do I have in my inner circle, and who do I allow my spirit to be around, and feel, because I used to even do drug counseling at one time. And I used to say to them, help me help you. This is as you have to want this. You have to get into that I to want either different change or acknowledge or accept what you have been doing, you have to do different to get different results, better results. So it all starts with a determination of yourself. And this is what I've been challenging myself and working on every day. Every day that I wake up, if I have a desire to do a different route of walking, but I know that walking is good for me, that's what I'll do. You know, you know, just for me. Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I mean, self-care is really, really important. I mean, that's something that we're finding now more than ever, right? In this era that we're living in with this pandemic and all of that. I think people, you know, had, and especially towards the beginning of it, when people were shut down and at home, you know, a lot of things came up for people, you know, a lot of like mental health issues came up, a lot of like self-care and awareness that they weren't caring for themselves, you know, because a lot of us work, and then we don't realize that we're burning out. Right. So that's a great thing that you stopped and paused on that, because I was reading some of the reviews and stuff on your book, which sound amazing. I am going to pick up a copy, and it just sounds like you've been through quite a bit in your life as well, right? So I'd like to touch in on that, because I want to show that there is a journey, right? Like when you go through a lot of things in life and you have a lot of impactful moments in your life, you can either let that kind of destroy you, or you can end up in a place where you can use that as your building blocks and your foundation to make you stronger, right? And to help you think of your own self-care, because maybe nobody thought about that when you were younger. Maybe nobody showed you what self-care was.
You're right.
Yeah.
And it's a process, just like you said, it is a process. I didn't just get here. Like I said, I just celebrated my 48th birthday. I just didn't wake up this in the morning and got here. No, I had a lot of process. But what I had to keep in mind is that I want to continue to feel this way. That I wanted to continue to have this the unhealthy relationships, the unhealthy habits, the frustrations, the turmoil of unexpected results or relationships that I yearn for. Did I want to continue to live that kind of way? You know, I never had the hatred, because I was always from 5 on up was instilled of love. God was love and you were love. But that was a process too. That was something that my adopted dad invested in me. So if someone didn't invest that in you, that would be a process that someone would have to go if they had built hatred or unforgiveness in their heart. Me, I hadn't, you know, so but I had that resentment. I had that abandonment feeling. And then I had the rejection. Then I had that would stem into my adult life of holding on to what wasn't meant for me to hold on to. Didn't want to feel the let go, even if it was hurting me. Just did not want to feel I gotta let it go, you know.
So, well, it's hard to let it go, because I think sometimes we have been in it for so long, it's almost part of your identity, right? So letting something go that somebody did. Well, first of all, I don't know about you, you know, the journey, because I want to get into your journey. I know for me, letting go of like my stepfather, who was my child molester, right? Letting go of the anger and resentment I had towards him almost stole a little bit of my identity away. Like that was who I was, to be angry and pissed off at him a lot. You know what I'm saying? So, and then you kind of, but you do become free. You do become free. There's a freedom that comes with it, but it's not easy. It's not easy. It's definitely a process.
Now, Neena, you talked on how that affected you in different ways, and people have to realize and that investment of knowing themselves, how it affected you in different ways. And me, with my child molester, I felt the self-worth, the self-esteem that was just done. It was absolutely done. So I felt never worthy, but doing my best to be worthy in other relationships, and never and then so when the hurt or disappointment came from the other people, like, why?
Why?
Yeah. Wasn't I not good enough? Wasn't I not worth enough? You know? And so it just, and I had to find, where was that root of that? You know? And that book helped me open the hole from the very beginning to find out where these roots can't lie in, and how I had to release. And know, first of all, I am a gift. I was created in love. I am worthy of love to come back and to receive it. It's not forced. It's not compromised. Love is love. Doesn't hurt. You see what I'm saying? But I had to go from the beginning. And at one time, from that journey of not feeling the love, the rejection from five, the mother and the father whom I knew that would not, that I'm visualizing and I'm experiencing, they're not coming back for me. Right. I know these people. Why?
Right. Yeah. Tell me about that.
So something had to be, something had to be about me.
Right. Wrong with you. Wrong with you. Yeah.
Wrong with me.
Totally get that.
And I got to correct whatever it is.
Right. And it has nothing to do with you at 5 years old.
Exactly.
Right.
So I had to get to that journey of, it had nothing to do with me. It's all to do with the receivers, the people that did what they did.
Yes.
But it had nothing to do with me. But from years of feeling that was, and holding, like you said, and holding on to I know one of my therapists has said something about I had to do this release of the past of justification of that control, that feeling that the power is taken from me beyond my control, like the hammer of a judgment of I wouldn't even you didn't even ask me, you know what I mean? You just hammered a judgment. How dare you? And she's like, this is where it came from foundation. So from that foundation, I have to understand through life, you release this, there's going to be times that you're going to be able to know you, identify the truth in you, the personality in you, the character in you, embrace all of that and let that judgment fall where it is.
Right. That's so good.
Yeah.
That's so good. I do want to explore that a little bit. Can you take us a little bit on your journey when you were young? Because I know that you you mentioned it, but I don't know if we know much about it. So what happened when you were younger?
Cover of my book, the picture of the child there is the only picture that I have from my adopted parents. I have no baby pictures. I have no memories of in picture form of me and my sister, or when I was an infant, or 1, 2. That was the very first picture. So that was, really important for me for my readers to see. This is what I had to experience and share, that this was a profound year. And that was around, I was 6 years old. And I was dropped off by my dad. And this was his oldest sister. So that was my paternal aunt. I had never stayed with them overnight before. I knew of them, but I didn't know them well enough. So this was and it's in the book how it led to this drop off, a very bad physical altercation between him and my mom that I remember. And it was horrible, but it was so horrible. I bring my viewers to see in a 5-year-old child's mind that led up to that I was almost traumatized. I could not cry. I was witnessing my oldest sister just going off, and she's 2 years older than me. And she was trying to fight my father. We were in the back seat and she was screaming and yelling, but I was so horrified. And I had went through so much of this disconnection with my biological mom that I was just I just was like a frozen, frozen. And I could not cry. I just remembering I could not cry. I was just wondering in my mind, where are we going? What is going to happen now? Where are we going when I'm seeing this blood? And it was just awful. So we ended up to my grandparents' house, and I remember words were crossed, and I remember this expression on my grandfather's face that was just horrible, that you can imagine his daughter being sent in that kind of ordeal, and my dad having words with my mother, and he hurrying me in the car and saying, "Come on." And I remember him driving, and he didn't say anything. He just dropped me off, And he said, you need to stay, basically, I need to stay there. And I remember them,
Wow.
looking at me and welcoming me and, having me sleep in the room. And I took my readers there like it was turning of my point of my life forever. But in my mind, it was like the beginning of so many things of I had to break free from, of I'm being dropped off from people that I really didn't know. I'm scared to tell them I don't want to sleep in a room by myself. What choice have that no one's given me? And then weeks and years at a time, starting off with the weeks into the months, my father would come there and say, because this is his relationship with his older sister, and say, I'm going to come back and get you. And I would pack and get ready, and he would never come back and get me. So I'm living with so much let down and disappointment from two people that were accountable and responsible for a child that they brought into this world. So that's the very beginning of the journey. And then with the traumatic mental status that as a young age that I had to go through so quickly and adapt to something totally different. These are older people. Their foundation as far as structure was like back in the generation where you had time to everybody ate breakfast at the same time, everybody ate lunch at the same time, everybody ate dinner at the same time. It was no Pop-Tarts, it was a full course meal. I mean, the stability and the structure was old school, but it was a total different adjustment, even down to the church. I remember always being in church with my real parents, because my dad played the bass guitar, but it was Pentecostal. It was at that age, I knew how to shout. I even said to my mom when I got to their church that these people didn't shout, because it was a Pentecostal. I knew that you get up and you start dancing and shout. I guess that's why I'm the best dancer there is now.
Oh my gosh, that is too much.
My kids dying laughing. I said, Beyonce ain't got nothing on me. I said, I'm going to forever, but I've been dancing ever since I was 4 years old.
That is hilarious.
But so going into AME Zion, and that was more structured. It was like the whole change. Learning their side of the family, and I got silent. I just felt like my voice was no reason to share. What for? No one gave me a choice anyway. No one talked to me. No one said, this is the best for you. This is what I experienced. Most of what I heard, in their little conversations when they thought that I wasn't listening, of, that my mother never did want me, it's a shame, but we want you, and this and that and the other, so it was
so hard.
Exactly. So I went my first enrollment in school, learning that mentality flourished, flowed over me retaining information. I was diagnosed with their test back in the 70s as mild retardation. But if there were a lot of tests that's now advanced, it was really PTSD. Now I do have trouble in retaining, information, details and stuff like that. Like I have to work extra hard. When I got in college, I had to work extra hard and reading over and over and over and get my own system to make sure that it's in me. But and it takes me longer to get it. But when I do get it, it's like you can't take it away from me. I got to routinely do it over and over and over. But so I went through majority of my elementary years up until 6th grade in resource. So I had to experience bullying. And here's this mother with this child that felt like there was no reason to have a voice. It was no reason to, but I had my adopted dad, and he would constantly show me, not just tell me about God and about the relationship that he had with him. He prayed all the time. He said scriptures all the time. he would let me know, at the times that we would go to church and, every Sunday and come home, that no matter what I go through, that God is always going to be with me. Wow. And he would say, and this is where I got Kimmy from, because he was the one that called me Kimmy. And he would say, Kimmy, he said, listen to your dear old dad. He said, I didn't get this age for, he said, but as you get older, you have wisdom. He said, and I love you. He said, but God loves you more than I love you. And he would never leave you. So when you think you're all alone, you're not alone. And that kept my spirit. Believe it or not, I watched. I observed him praying. I observed this man's relationship with God do it all. And even when my adopted mom would say, when we would have a little battle about, periodically I'd say, I want to go home. I want to see my mom. I want to be with my sister. And she would say, how in the world would you want to stay or go and see a woman that didn't take care of you, didn't want you, mistreated you? And he would stop her. Neena, he would stop her.
Of
he
course.
Would say, He said, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. We're not going to. It's okay. It's okay, Kimmy. We're not going to do that. And he would tell her, it's okay if she wants to go and see them. And they would have to intercede sometimes about me going to see them. I would periodically, and then a protection for me. Like I couldn't understand it then when they gave my dad the talk of not coming back over and promising me that he was going to come and get me, because he kept disappointing me. Right. So now that I got older, I mean, I seen it in my 20s that they were just doing things to protect me.
Yeah. But when you're little and nobody's talking to you or explaining it, you're just feeling rejected, angry, disappointed, I do love that your adopted dad was there, though. I think, for me too, I had my grandfather who loved me, even though I didn't have a father. And the thing is like, I feel like that's a way for God to kind of give us some ease in the storm. You know what I mean? When you have like that one person that loves you, even though you don't love yourself or don't think anybody loves you. And that's such a powerful place, right? That's such a powerful thing to have.
It's like the balance that you need in your journey. Like if I like that combination of my adopted mom and her husband. Now that was my adopted mom through the relationship from my biological dad.
Right.
So how ironic how God is so good to us that he had the husband, to balance that off, because if it wasn't for him and it was just her, I would have been a mess.
Right.
I would have been a mess. So I needed that balance. And I'm so glad that I had, because a lot of things I learned from her, but that foundation of that spirit that I needed to journey through was built on him, on his character, on his personality. Yes.
Did you find as you were growing older now, you already went to elementary school, you're still living with them. Did you find as you got older that you were more rebellious, more angry? Did you go through stages where you didn't care whether you saw your parents or not, or you didn't care what really happened to you or not? Did you go through any of that?
I got to the stage that I didn't care what happened to me. I didn't go. I always yearned for my mother relationship.
Right. Yeah.
I always yearned for her.
Me too.
I always yearned for my relationship with my siblings, because she had children after me.
It sounds to me like your sister stayed with her. Only you were taken away.
Sister. Yeah.
Okay.
My older sister. Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And so, and we have a relationship, but I got rebellious to that silent girl that when I started, I remember this guy was, and it's in my book, had an older guy see me walking with my childhood friend home, and he showed interest. And I'm so gullible, he's driving and stuff like that. And wasn't that I was promiscuous, just I was curious, and I started skipping school and everything and got pregnant. But it was that silent child inside that I was like, this is no way I'm going to let this woman and this man know that I'm curious or then there's to die, because we had certain names for different parts. You were womanish, Yeah, I mean, when I said it was old school, it was old school.
Right.
They said what goes on in this house stays in this house. It was just no way. I just had not had that freedom. And they had, especially my mother, wanted to suffocate that or make the child that she had lost or she had never had. And she couldn't do that. Right. She couldn't do that. No matter how much hard she tried, she could not form a child that she wanted to have, or that she thought in her mind that she should have had in her lifetime. Like I was that replacement. And we have a strained relationship because of I'm created as me. I have the personality. I have the genes of my mother and my father. I knew them, you know what I mean? And I had wanted, and she would say as I was a child, well, I was my mother's best friend, and I don't understand our love because you should be. And I'm like, she doesn't even know me. She's not taking time to even know me. Yeah.
So now I see that you are taking all of these experiences that you've had in your life, and you're a speaker now, right? So what is it that you do as a speaker?
Well, I had different topics that I spoke on as far as abuse, child neglect, adoption, just various topics that was profound for that occasion or the event. I talked to grandparents at the at our local show-up agencies about relationship, as far as children, and building, communication and stuff like that. Because I really believe a lot of times when things happen in our foundation that people need to, especially child molestation, people need to hear it from the molester, the molestee, the person that experienced, from their voice, from their point of view.
Right. Yeah. That's fantastic that you're doing that. And I know that you really, I'm sure that you had this experience where when you wrote your book, it's kind of incredible, right? When you start to reach people's lives, like some people maybe open up to you that you never knew was even going through something, right? Isn't that a great feeling?
It has been. I mean, the first week that it was released, someone hit me on Facebook Messenger. I don't even know. I have so many friends on there. I didn't know who she was. And she was like, I just got your book and I wanted to let you know that, a lot of things are similar that I have went through. And it just encouraged me to possibly, share my own story. And I'm like, yes, this is it. But during the writing, during the COVID, I had, and I think this is important for people to know, I had my therapist. I think one session I had to call her like twice a week. And I'm crying, because the revealing, just putting it back out there, revisiting from there all the way to the end, I needed support. And I found to embrace, and I note them in my book, a couple of my therapists that I've had, and I've been already solidified it. I said, when I get into another relationship, they're going to be on speed dial.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's so funny.
When I think about that commitment, they're going to be on speed dial, because it's a resource that I know that I have embraced and accepted. I can't do this journey by myself.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that. Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad you said that though, because I think that, digging into your past and digging there, you do need support. You need support, whether it's a therapist or somebody you truly trust, whether it's a pastor or whatever it is that you need. But I think it takes a village, right? Yes. And I believe it also takes a village to heal. Right. Yes, so I always say, I'm a coach too. I do a lot of coaching, and usually it's for these high achieving entrepreneurial women, professionals, and they go through a lot, but they keep a lot to themselves because they're professionals and they have to look a certain way and do a certain thing. But I always tell them, I said, you cannot do these journeys alone. You cannot do these journeys alone, So I'm really happy that you wrote your book. I'm happy you put it out there, and I'm happy you were able to expose a lot of those things? Because I know that one of the things that you really love from reading your bio and everything is mental health.
Right.
And mental health right now is a big thing.
It is.
You know?
It is.
So
it is.
I'm glad that you do these kind of
I'm
talks.
glad, because a lot of things that I substituted, and I don't put myself on a pedestal, because I could have chose drugs, I could have chose smoking, I could have chose alcohol to use the tool to help me. But I was a workaholic at one time. I worked myself to not sit down to think of what I was actually going through in one of my marriages that I put in my book. And it wasn't good for me. I used my kids as the escape. Like I was one of the, like at a young age, I was constantly where I said, my kids is my whole life. To one time I went to a conference, and an older woman seen me eating, waiting for them to come to, join me at the conference. And she said, what do you like to do, honey? She was just in a conversation with me. And I was so baffled. I went back to the room and I just cried that whole night because I did not. And I felt so out of place, even eating by myself, because I had just poured my whole life into my children,
Right.
And so I'm just glad that I can advocate and share my journey and let people know that it's not me being the best person on the earth, but it's my choices. But also in my choices, still knowing that those tools and those resources that I had was not the best for me, that I had to continue this process and find out that, yes, I need, like you said, another person. I need to seek professional help to get over. I don't need to push my mother figure away just because she's not who I want her to be, which is my biological mother, but embrace it. Embrace that she's available, that she is open up her heart to see Kim and accept Kim how she is. And it's not forced. It's not compromised. It's not bought, but she's willing to give, you know what I mean? And so many
it sounds like you've gone through a really great journey of forgiveness.
Yes. Yeah. And so many people get caught up in forgiving, but still expect a result that God hasn't gave them, or it's not going to be. And that's what I wrestled with. And I pushed this woman away for about a year and a half. One time I just stopped calling her. And do you know, when I did decide to call her, she was still right there.
Right. And that's something. I think forgiveness is a big thing. It's a big tool to help you move forward. I mean, forgiveness is never for the other person anyway. Forgiveness is for you, you know? So good for you for doing that. And good for you for writing this book. I'm glad that you're out there, like, going to do these talks and talk about, mental health and inspiring other people and women and moms and stuff like that, because it's a very powerful thing. And I think now with, mental health is being more spoken about now. So people are starting to realize that it's not such a big stigma. And like, if you're actually going through something, it is okay to reach out for help. It is okay. Back in the day, they'd be like, I'm not going to see, a therapist. I'm not crazy. It had nothing to do with being crazy. It has to do with healing, It
was taboo. It's taboo out there, because I told you that in my household, it was what goes on in this house stays in this house. Even when I got into the elementary school, that my resource teacher, did, suggest to my parents, maybe she you need to have her be seen or take her to talk to, and they were like, we're trusting God. we will pray about this. What's happening, we can pray. Prayer is it. That's the key. And I still pray, and I believe prayer is the key. But like I said, I use the resources that I have. God gives me wisdom. God gives everybody wisdom to explore, and he wouldn't have these people on earth, to help and to assist for no reason. Everybody has a purpose-driven life to do. So I capitalize on that, and I make it work for me. So, and I let people know, I'm not ashamed. It took me courage to put that book out there. It wasn't accepted by everyone. Trust me, it was not. It took courage.
I know the deal. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it took courage. And I just knew that all my life, that what I had to release wasn't just for me. It wasn't just for me. And I used to, before my book had even came out, I said to, would say to my children, I tried, and I know that I did the best I could because there were different ages, a different season of my life that I had every last one of them. My first one was at 15, just before I turned 16. And so all the way up. But I told him, I said, I always believed, and I still believe, the type of mother you had and you still have is me believing and trusting in God to give me what I need, the tools to use to be the best mother that I can be to you all. Not on my own willpower. Trust and believe. It's not on my own willpower. Yeah. And that's so fantastic. They got it. They got that. And even with the season of my life with that Minnie, I do the same thing with her. God, now that I'm in a different season of my life, and she's getting a lot more of me than my other kids back in that age. But it's all because of you. It's not by my own willpower. I still need your strength. I still need your wisdom. I still need that quiet time. I still need, like we were talking about before, that self-care, that lessons learned for the years, and me embracing all that I went through in my past is for now. Right. It's for now, It's
for now. Yep, it is. For now. And now is all you have, though, Kimberlee, right? I mean, literally this moment, this conversation we're having right now is all we have right now.
All we have.
All we have. We're not promised tomorrow. We're not promised the next minute. Right. We're not promised any of that. And that's why these conversations are so important, because this could be our last conversation, right?
Right.
And so when we have these conversations, they should be with a heart and willingness to impact somebody's life, because it's going to go out there on the, and on TV and on the podcast and all that kind of stuff. And you don't know who hears what. I've had people, DM me and call me and stuff, and stop me even like one day I was getting a cup of coffee and this lady comes and she goes, "Excuse me, are you Neena Perez?" I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "Oh my gosh, I just read your book. Unbelievable. It's impacted me, blah, blah, blah." But the whole point is that even if she was the only one that read it, then that's why I wrote it. You know what I'm saying? Then she's the one I wrote it for, and I'm not just saying that because, I'm just so great. No, I'm saying that because it's true. Every time we do something, we are going to hurt somebody or lift somebody up. And we need to be careful about how we do that, right? Because like you said, me and you have been through quite a bit in our lives. Now, how we use that is going to be what is valuable, how we use our lives, right? So you way you use your life to impact your daughter and the people that you impact when you do your talks and stuff is why you went through what you did. Right. You know what I'm saying?
And I had to let that go. Just like you said, Neena, the behaviors and the stuff that happened to me that were on the other people, that is how I respond. Right. It's my response.
That
truly matters. And that's all that I can live with. And, and I work that out every day of how I respond to my past and even my present, because I'm like, I get this gratitude and I say, "Oh, nope. Okay, my mind, I got this little one, almost 60. I got this work. I don't have a husband. But you know what? I'm embracing it. This is more time for me to know Kim, to love Kim, to love her. You know what I mean? To get my body physically ready, get things done that I really hadn't ever got done. So embracing, like you said, that now, and responding to the every given moment that we're allowed to have.
Right.
And
my gosh.
And our choices of how are we going to respond to it? Like I got, like, even to your listeners, I got tired of the same pattern of my mentality or the things that I was going through in my personal relationship, and even my unexpected things of going in my local area. Is this the time that I'm going to see her, or these birthdays are coming up? What can I give? What can I give just to get a response? No, that's frustration. That's too much stress. That's not how God intended no one to live. Right. But live, like you said, an abundance of life, of freedom. Of freedom, of your response, of how you can deal with your love to all that can receive it and can give back.
Right. Yeah. Oh man, we could talk all day. we could talk all day because I so relate to you. I think the 40s, I'm in my 40s too. I just turned 49.
Oh, don't you love it?
Yeah, I was going to say the 40s have been the most sexiest time for me.
Oh, my gracious.
With my mind, my development, my friendships, my career, all of it. It's been phenomenal. I didn't know.
For something. I was just like, sisters.
Love it. Love it. I know this is a random question, but what month is your birthday?
August.
August what?
13th.
10.
Look at this.
So funny. Oh my gosh.
So we're just going to have to put it already out there. We're going to have to celebrate next year in August.
Wait, one more question before we let you go. Can I just ask you when you had your first son? How old were you?
My first son.
Or your first child, I'm sorry.
My first child?
Yeah.
15.
15.
Get out of here.
Because I heard you say, because you said you were 48 and your son was 32. Yep. I'm 49 and my son is 33.
Okay.
I said, oh my gosh, I think she had her son at 15.
Yeah, I turned 16 August 13th and Courtney was born July 31st.
Isn't that something?
Isn't that something?
That something?
Oh, boy, I tell you, we rock, don't we?
Oh man, this was meant to be. This conversation was meant to be.
Purposely designed.
Yes. We're gonna have a long friendship, Kimberlee.
Right, we are
gonna have a long friendship.
Definitely.
This is amazing. Thank you so much for being here. But before I let you go, I do want you to let us know how we can follow you or support you or anything like that. So I know that you have a book. I want you to mention your book where we can find it. And if you have social media stuff that you like people to follow you on, please go ahead and mention it for my audience to know how to reach you.
Okay, great. Well, it's on Amazon and Goodreads, I believe. That's the name of the other book. But Amazon, The Epitome of Kimmy, Epitome. I think I got it.
Yep, you spelled it right.
You'll see the little girl on the picture, so you'll know that that's me. And Facebook is at Kimberly Ann Bell. And then I have a website, Kimberly Ann Bell, Kimberly Ann with the E. That's my ego name in the middle, Neena. You have to read the book and figure out how I got the Kimmy.
I will.
The Kimberly, but that Kimberly was named from Kim Hughes. I was named after Kim Hughes on the stories.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
My kids always tell me that I had that woman inside my body. They say, oh, there she is coming out.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yes, I was in the mall saying to them at 12 and 13, I said, you guys, come on, we're ready to go. They said, oh my God. we're done with this. But it's www.kimberlyann with the EBELL.com. And if you want to invite me, I'll travel. Me and Maya loves to travel. It's awesome. A place on there where all my information, contact me, email me, and you'll see my family on there. So the website is really, really, really the biggest contact that you can, and I just encourage you. And I have where my books are too on there. So I just encourage anybody that's listening, don't give up. You're looking at a living testimony, and I'm just so happy to be here with Neena to express my journey and let you know that you're not by yourself. If I could do it.
That's right. Kimberlee, thank you so much. And thank you for being here. Guys, thank you so much for listening and watching. Make sure that you click and you subscribe and you share. Leave a review as well. I love to hear what you guys think of all these beautiful conversations with these amazing human beings. Thank you so much for being here. This is Neena Perez, and this is Straight Talk, no sugar added. Until next time.
This broadcast is brought to you by Winject Studios. We are an all-in-one educational platform for podcasters that revolutionizes how hosts leverage content to increase engagement with listeners, downloads, and income. We come together to focus on community, collaboration, and collective impact. For more information on how you can interact directly with our hosts, access exclusive live content with offers you can't get anywhere else from our official partners, join our purpose-driven community by visiting www.winject.com. If you're ready to build a career doing what you love, then we're ready to see you there.